So Thomas, how's it going?
How dare you ask me that? That's none of your business. And frankly, I'm appalled. I'm leaving my own house. Oh, it's great. No, it's great.
Sweet.
It's been a bit of a day, but I have 3 drinks in front of me, so I'm a happy man.
Oh, that's not bad. One of them is a full bottle of wine, so...
Hey, look, I mean, if it's not worth drinking if you can't drink big, Mighty Ducks.
Is that the quote?
I may have misconstrued the moral of that particular movie, but yeah, no, I'm great.
You ready to talk about some Czech Pilsners?
Boy, am I. And by that, I mean, I hadn't thought this much about Czech Pilsners ever until you told me, hey, we're doing this. I'm like, all right, I better get on my bona fides.
Yeah, this is the first one that I've actually combined 2 BJCP beer styles.
Is this not a standalone?
Okay, so in the BJCP, there's Czech Pale Lager.
This seems unnecessary.
But there's also Czech Premium Pale Lager.
If any categories deserve to be compiled, it's that.
Czech Pale Lager, you will never find any of the examples they gave in the United States.
Yeah, I was going to say, is that just in some dude's basement in Prague?
Yeah, Czech Premium Pale Lager is a Pilsner Urquell. What have you? Staropramen. You know, it's a fucking Czech Pils.
Disclaimer, I will always have a soft spot for Pilsner Urquell, particularly in cans, because
that's the way to go.
It's the only way to go. Cans are draft, bottles,
They are in brown bottles now.
Oh, they are?
I believe so, yeah. I'm 99% certain they're in brown bottles.
Didn't know that.
But the cans are still the way to go.
Well, also, the branding on the cans now is just
And the
awesome.
cans are
Everyone's
so
different.
cool.
They're great. And that's just, it is a really, really great beer. Sidebar, there was a time where, have you ever been to the bar in the Cheshire called Fox and Hounds?
I have. Yes, I have.
There used to be a bartender there. He's dead now, but Mark Pullman, he was considered like one of the top barmen in St. Louis in like the early 2000s. And we went in there one time. It was me, my buddy, and my brother. And he goes, my buddy and my brother are up there, and they go like, my brother goes, I'll have 2 Pilsner Urquells. The guy goes to my buddy, what about you, Buttercup? And Ryan goes, I'll have 9 Pilsner Urquells. What the fuck kind of question is that? So is this one of those things where I've always had a special spot for Pilsner Urquell? A, because I have a story behind it, and B, because it's great. It's fresh, when it's good, when it isn't light struck, it's great.
Yeah. That's just why the cans are so important. And they have amazing holiday packs.
They do. I have one of the lunch boxes downstairs. It's great. I'm going to use that as a holiday gift later on this year. So it's going to be.
We're not, however, drinking Pilsner Urquell because
because a certain distributor isn't good at ordering.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't worry about it though.
But I do have some second shift technical ecstasy Czech style Pilsner.
So yes.
What do you think about that?
Just the brand itself, or what I'm tasting right now?
We'll start with what you're tasting right now.
What I'm tasting
work our way back.
What I'm tasting right now is really, really, really good. There's a different. What always struck me about Czech Pils and Pilsner Urquell is the finish on the end, specifically, I guess what people term the bite. I guess.
Yeah.
I like how aggressive the bite is on a Pilsner Urquell. It is very like, you drink it like, ooh, this is smooth, and it just gives you a bitter whop in the back of the throat. Yeah. Which is not the best sentence I've ever said, but it always was really appealing to me at certain times. Sometimes I taste it and I'm like, this tastes like nails. There's nothing wrong with the beer, I'm just not in the mood for it. Yeah. This has a slightly more subtle, not as aggressive kick, which I'm not minding at all. It's a little bit more fruity on the end, which I'm enjoying. The brand itself, I love Second Shift. I think they're great brewers. I think the people down there are great people. Yeah. They have had problems with...
They have great cats.
Yes. They have many, many cats. Gato and otherwise. However, occasionally, their quality control, a beer can vary greatly. Like, you can get a batch of the same beer 1 month. The next month, it's completely different. Yeah. And I remember a couple times I've gotten technical ecstasy, which is a hard style to execute, and it has all sorts of flaws, like off flavors. Yeah. And I'm not saying I could do any better. It's just that one of the great things about craft breweries is you get a lot of variety and a lot of like that artisanal thing. You don't get the quality control. And in this style, you need it. Yeah.
Pilsner Urquell, they've been making that for couple hundred years or whatever.
Yeah. If I could read whatever Slavic language that is, I'd say probably Czech. I would tell you what year it's in, but 1700 million. I don't know when it was.
Actually, Czech Pils. I just looked up all this history and shit.
Ooh.
It's I think it's maybe like 100 years.
Oh.
It's not too, because like pale ales weren't really feasible until like the late 1800s.
Didn't know that.
Just because they couldn't get the malting right.
By the way, it's also crazy to me that the late 1800s is almost 150 years ago now.
Oh, yeah. Well.
I'm thinking 1880. I like to think about when the West was won.
Yeah. Think of like Deadwood era.
Yeah. By the way, I don't use BC and AD. I use Deadwood as my date of demarcation.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah, I like to think it does.
But yeah,
what's the percent on this? I'm not going to be that guy. Like, how drunk am I getting? But I'm curious.
5.4.
Okay. I was going to say high 4s, low 5s, and that's about where it is. Probably a little bit higher than I thought.
Yeah, it's I know that like the second shift guys, like I'm pretty sure Kreider, like this is like one of his pet projects. Like he loves this style of beer, so he wanted to fucking nail it.
Yeah, and I'm going to be honest. Everything I said earlier about quality control, I haven't had one of these in about a year or more. So my concerns could be completely outdated. I'm just speaking
because they moved into their new place a couple years ago, I guess it was. Yeah, there's always going to be adjustments,
and they've got some genuinely talented people down there too.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So I don't always. I'm not always agreeing with their brand. It's not necessarily always for me, but their beer is pretty great. So good for them. It's awesome.
Yeah. I would love it if some other local breweries would
do anything close to that.
Yeah, do that or figure out their quality control issues.
Yes. Would you like to name them? Can we get a Joe McCarthy style list?
There's only really a few. Like for the most part, I'm happy with the breweries around here, but there are a couple that I'm just not.
Yep. All right. Just say it. Rockwell. Number 1 with a bullet.
No, not Rockwell. It's more closer to like the Cherokee Street area.
Really?
Not to name names, but really? It's around Cherokee Street.
What are they called? Moontide?
Yeah.
Mars Grip? Just trying to... What is
like
the
that.
name of it? Venus Squeeze. I'll get it eventually. Don't worry. That's to be expected, though. I think they unearthed their brewing equipment from the catacombs under whatever building
they just found them there.
But their gruits are on point. So,
you don't think you could brew a Czech Pils?
No.
This clean and biscuity, and
I couldn't come close to this. I mean, do you want to go in the homebrew part of it?
Yeah, let me tap you off here.
Oh, a little Topper Harley. That's a Hot Shots reference. Anyway, no, the homebrew part. I thought about this a little bit because since you mentioned we're going to do this, a Pilsner is not impossible if you're a home brewer. You just need either need it to be winter where you can lager outside, or you need a fermentation chamber where you can control the temp so you can lager. You just need a hell of a lot of patience. You also need to brew it correctly with the correct brewing temp and rests at each step of the mash.
Yeah.
To make sure you don't have off flavors, which I think there's diacetyl and there's the butter one. And I can't remember which one the butter is. That's
diacetyl. Yeah.
Okay, so it's diacetyl and there's wet cardboard one, which is oxygen.
Yeah, that's oxidation.
So the butter diacetyl one, you need the correct temperatures to brew off that enzyme, and then the cardboard one, you need to limit its exposure to oxygen, which normally isn't a problem, but since you're lagering it for months, it becomes more of a concern.
And I know there is like diacetyl is acceptable in the style.
Yeah.
Because it's just hard to get rid of all of it.
Yeah. And there's some other things like you can have the off flavor I can't remember the off flavor, but it's like green apple. Yeah. That actually works for you because you're lagering and fermenting for so long that can kind of fade out where you won't have that greenness, that newness, green apple grassiness.
That's acetaldehyde.
Yeah, and it's just like, so those things are a concern. So you need specialized equipment and you need to lager it long enough. To get it this clear requires patience, skill, and equipment. So if you have all that, it's not something that's unattainable, but you're sinking a lot of money and time. So the question is do you want to spend 3 times as long to yield this versus, say, brew a Centennial Blonde Ale or a Kolsch or a Pale Ale, and you can turn that 3 times for 50% less money versus this, or whatever the equation is. So it's a matter of,
how bad do you like?
Yeah, how bad do you like
lagers?
this? And my opinion is, I always like brewing my own beers, and I'm willing to do that. However, I will never be able to make a beer as good as this. I will never be able to make a Czech lager as good as this or Pilsner Urquell. So eventually it's like, is the juice worth the squeeze, or do I just pay $8 to get all the Pilsner Urquell I want at a time?
Right.
It's $8 for a 4-pack. I'm willing to pay that price rather than throwing a batch, waiting 3 months, getting all the equipment, doing all of that, and then maybe it still doesn't turn out. I don't know what the stats are, but I would say for me, 1 out of every 10 batches I brewed, I threw out.
Yeah.
It's not great. It's a complete loss. So that's kind of where I'm at. It's not unfeasible, but it's tough. This is a little bit more forgiving than doing like an American lager. Like if you want to do Budweiser or Bud Light, it's the hardest thing to brew because there's nothing to hide it, nothing to hide your crimes.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm at.
I feel like that's why all these craft guys are making lagers now, just to show off.
It's
like, good for you. I still don't really fucking care.
Yeah, no, that's a good point as well.
I'm proud of you, but I'm not going to drink it.
It is. I like that it's an exercise for them where they can show, like, I have this club in my bag, and if they want to brew it, I'll drink it. But I'm not going to sit there and jerk them off just because they did it.
Yeah.
Especially
like Four Hands has like their Full Life beer now, which is their Bush beer now. Like, we brewed it to taste like Bush beer. Why did you do that?
Yeah, what?
Bush beer exists.
So
it's cheaper than Full Life. Why did you do that?
It's like Full Life. It's $11.99 a 6-pack. Cool. I can pay $13 and get a 30-pack. It's like,
And what is Mars has that one that looks like a High Life, Chug Life?
Yeah.
Like, I don't need to drink a $7 500 ml bottle of Miller High Life.
All great ideas. I'm glad they did it. I'm glad they're having fun. However, at a certain point, don't you concede the fact that the big boys do one thing really, really well?
Right.
Let them have that space.
Give them that one thing, and just worry about the other 115 beer styles out there.
Number 1 and 2 do one thing very, very well. And then, like, the next 4 all do what you're doing right here very, very well.
Yeah.
Maybe don't try and challenge that throne. But if you want to do it, go for it.
I feel like they're going to eventually just push people back to macro beers.
That's a concern.
It's like, I made this beer that tastes like Bush. And people are like, I fucking love this beer.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll just buy Bush. Like, maybe I was wrong.
Maybe I won't buy
to get into craft beer.
Maybe I won't buy that second 6-pack of craft, and I'll just buy an 18 of Bush.
Yeah, like...
It's there's always going to be ebbs and flows in the circle of life with a beer buyer, and I don't know what the answer is, but it has always confused me when people are very, like, gung-ho. Like, Founders, like, it's solid gold, and it's like an 18-pack, and it's $18 for an 18-pack of lager. I'm like, but why?
Why?
Budweiser is the perfect lager. You're never going to get a more perfect lager than that. So
it's like fucking Jurassic Park.
You were so busy. What is it? You're
busy trying to figure out if you could. You never stopped to ask if you should.
By the way, I'd like to make a request from every episode from now on that you find a Jeff Goldblum quote. In there.
It's doable.
I mean, I have to think it is. I mean, there's 7 or 8 quotes from Thor Ragnarok alone. Ooh, don't use that word. What? Mainframe? No. Slaves. It's like, sorry. The prisoners with non-paying jobs, or whatever that was. It's better. Anyway, yeah, that's kind of my take on it. It's good. I like this beer that we're doing. I just prefer Pilsner Urquell, I think.
Sure.
It's just it's consistent. I like those cans. I'm a sucker for a textured grip. That's right. I'm a monster junkie.
It's cool. Like getting into like the history of Pilsner Urquell was very interesting because just the town of Pilsen itself was like, they're just fucking beer nerds, man. Like, that's just what they were. Like, they had beer publications. Like, in the 1800s, there's like, this is what we're doing. Because they're like revolutionizing all this shit, you know? They're like, this is how we made it like this. These are the malts we use. This is how we made the malts. Put it out in the little newsletter so everybody knows.
It's the original beer bag.
Yeah, it was. It's funny.
That's great. I've talked to I've had some friends over the years who have gone to like Czech Republic. It's capital's Prague, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Prague, and
I don't know capitals, but
they mentioned that it's a wonderful country and it's beautiful and everything else, and also the exchange rate is great and it's like cheap, and like you can drink all day for like a tenner.
Yeah.
Like you just grab, like there are just beer carts everywhere. It's like,
Sure.
oh, do you want a half liter of beer? It's like 75 cents. It's like, okay, I'll walk around and.
I love that beer culture too, where they're like, it's cool, just.
It's
have
mostly
beer.
water. Why don't
Yeah.
you just, you know.
But you can drink wherever, and it's not this weird separation. Like we have to fucking drink inside.
Yeah, exactly. Any meal in Italy, they're like, would you like some house wine? It's like, yeah, it'll be the best. It'll be some of the best wine you've ever had. And it's like $7 a carafe or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
But yeah, like they essentially like built Pilsen where they put it to make beer there.
water supply.
Yeah, because of the water supply and just access.
That's a bomb going off. Don't worry about that.
Did you cut the red wire or the blue wire?
Pro tip: just shoot the bomb.
Oh, nice.
I learned that one on the Cinemax show Strike Back, which is basically just an action movie every week, and it's great. Spoiler alert, in season 6, they shoot a nuclear bomb, and that's how they disarm it. It's great.
Sure.
Yeah. They're like, one of them's Australian, so I'm going to throw an Australian accent at you. Let me get to my my anchor word. Dickheads. All right, so I think when you shoot the bomb, it won't go off. We'll just hit the power supply.
Sure. I don't know if that's a good idea.
No.
But
Well, after that, we'll all go play basketball. Dickheads.
you sure that's not New Zealand? That sounds a little more
Sorry.
Kiwi. I feel like dickhead is a Kiwi term.
Okay.
Yeah, either way.
I don't want to lump all the oceanic people together, but I don't think I'll ever be able to delineate a New Zealand Kiwi versus Australian accent.
I think it's just
This took a turn.
I think it just depends. Are they being an asshole? Then they're probably Australian. Are they being polite? They're probably from New Zealand.
Are you quoting Flight of the Conchords?
Maybe a little bit.
Brint, yeah. Maybe I can't do it in Australia. Maybe I can just do New Zealand. Are they talking about hobbits? Probably New Zealand.
Yeah.
Are they talking about emus? Probably Australia. Anyway, so Pilsen, water brewery,
Yes.
built it, did it.
Yep. That happened a long time ago.
Well, it's kind of like why Anheuser-Busch is big in St. Louis here, and why Cologne is on that river. They have a certain thing, or why they make whiskey in that parts of Kentucky and Tennessee. It's all about the water, man.
Yeah.
Those bagels in New York. Their pizza, my God. Must be the water.
Yeah.
So what else you got on the Czech pills?
I don't know. That's about it.
Solid segment.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's fine with me.
I mean, yeah.
That was an audible shoulder shrug you just heard. Did you hear that in the abject silence of just a t-shirt vaguely moving? Love it. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I don't know. Weirdly, there aren't a whole lot of stuff like brands that you can go out and buy.
Yeah, not really.
Well, at least here in St. Louis, we mentioned Staropramen, right?
Staropramen is not in the area anymore.
Yeah. Pilsner, Kel.
Pilsner Kel. I mean, there's like Czech Rebel, which whatever.
Yeah,
There's a Czech Var.
Czech Var.
Czech Var, which is Budvar anywhere else
Yeah.
in the world.
Would there be any craft, like mainstream craft, not mainstream, but like regional, national craft examples? Like, would be like Mama's little yellow pills be?
Yeah, I think maybe Mama's is a Czech Pills.
Like that.
Yeah, it seems like it would be. Yeah.
From Oscar Blue. So I'm just trying to think of examples like that.
I think Blue Paddle, whatever they call Blue Paddle now, that New Belgium beer that they used to call Blue Paddle. I think they just call it Pilsner now.
A voodoo paddle. Got it.
Yeah. Atomic Voodoo.
Yeah.
Imperial Paddle.
I think if you live in any major, not even a major metropolitan area, but any like decent sized city, you'll have a brewery that's probably doing a Czech Pills somewhere.
Yeah.
And you've probably had it before. It's just like, do you want a Budweiser with a little more bitterness and bite? Czech Pills. And I guess the last thing I'll say is one of the brewers that I know mentioned that if you ever have a regular like lager or pilsner that does have diacetyl, just rename it a Czech Pills. You got yourself a world-class beer.
Oh, nice.
So
that's the tip. That's the trick.
yeah, if the beer goes bad, just reclassify it.
Yeah.
That's how you win medals. So, all right, that's all I have.
Sweet.